All right, we're live. Okay, cool. So last time I made this Deku head, and I'd be honest, and I'll be like honest and tell you I don't like it. I don't like this Deku head at all. So we're gonna scrap it, and let's just go back to the layout mode and delete it because I hate it. And we'll delete those ears too because I hate those as well. So let's bring this uniform back. We will have to do a little bit of sculpting on the uniform itself, but that's okay. So, but what we're gonna do first, we're gonna just make the head and the neck. So let's add in a UV sphere, move this up to roughly where Deku's head is gonna be, and kind of scale that down a bit. So that's pretty much going to be the head size that we're working towards. Probably good enough. Drop that right there. Something like that. Okay. Now I can go ahead and save that because I didn't like that head the first time. So let's get started recreating this head. Okay. So, a couple of things. First, dynamic topology. Let's turn that on. Yep, that's fine. And we want to make sure that that is in brush detail. It is. And we will then grab the snake hook brush. Now, that's cool. It has the active tools open. Still don't have the ability to share strength and everything between brushes. That's still not something I have found. But we can go ahead and hide that tool by pressing the N key. Arabic Rum, what's up, man? How you doing? Welcome to the stream. Hope you've had a good day. Okay, so a couple of things. Actually, before we even start sculpting, I just want to pull in my reference image. So let's add in an image, and we'll just bring in a reference image, and let me navigate to it real quick. I think I put it here. There we go. Okay, so this is the reference image that I want as I am sculpting, but let's go ahead and rotate this around its own x-axis and then around its z-axis. Try to put that back to center, something like that. So the reason we want to do that is because I want to be able to see Deku's face while I'm sculpting. So let me position this just a little bit better. And there we go. Now I realize that that is going to be a mirror of what I'm actually going to be doing because I like to sculpt on the right hand side, but that's good enough for me. So a couple of things we want to do. The first thing we definitely want to do, make sure we can turn on annotations. Let's turn those on. And then check to make sure that we can see them by checking these overlays and making sure the annotations block is checked. And now I just want to draw real quick, kind of like Deku's... Oh, that drew on the mesh. Okay. Hold on. Back to sculpt mode. And I guess they got rid of the things. So no big deal. Whatever. We could draw it out. We're not going to draw it out. Hey, Francie, welcome to the stream, man. How you doing? I could draw it out. I'm not going to. Let's get started. So first thing we're going to do, drop that strength way down to like 0.2, something like that. And just increase our vertex count by inflating lightly and then smoothing that down. And we want to make sure we are sculpting on both sides, because mirroring when you sculpt is super important. And our primary focus today is really going to be this head, because I was not satisfied with it last time at all. So I want to make sure we have a good head and neck structure. All right, so we've increased our vert count, and now we're going to just pull out some things to actually kind of frame our face accurately. So if we pull here, and that is going to give us roughly our chin. Yeah, that's probably fine. And it comes down in a way that we can tighten up or whatever a little bit later. And we'll kind of flatten out this head because no one has a truly spherical head. Okay, and that's already a better head shape than what we had at the start of this stream. Yeah, that's so much better already. That's okay. Here we go. And then what we'll do is we will pull a mask down at the bottom here. So we'll grab the mask brush, and I'm just gonna hide the uniform real quick so that it doesn't interfere. And we'll mask over this area. Hit Control I to invert that mask, and then K to grab that snake hook brush, and then we're just gonna pull down. Let's increase our strength, and then we're gonna pull down a neck here. Now this will ultimately get formed into something a little bit better. We'll try to get something that matches Deku's traps, like he works out. But for now, what we just want to do is we just want to set this like neck understanding. Now the reason we hid the uniform is that it's not going to line up exactly with where that uniform is at right now. So we're gonna have to reposition the uniform and everything once we've made his shoulders and traps and everything, but that's okay. I would much rather have a good neck and shoulders and reposition the uniform than have to worry about anything else. So now that we've got this like cylinder coming off, let's hide the uniform again, and we've got our neck basically started. We can Alt-M to clear our mask and just kind of mark up some pieces of our face. Now this anime character, excuse me, the anime character itself, right? Like notice the eyes are huge and the nose doesn't really start until right about the bottom of the eye. That's not really normal human anatomy, but that is the anime anatomy. So we're gonna try to go for something like Disney's Elsa, with Frozen 2, the way that they did their faces, which is where basically the eyes take up a huge section and then everything else is whatever. So actually, let's go ahead and mark that out. So if we're gonna do that, what we want to do, we want to say that basically the forehead will stop right about here, something like that. Then the nose will come down like right about there, and then the lips will be kind of somewhere in that area. And I think that accurately pretty much maps out this whole thing. So we've got the top of the forehead. It's gonna stop, yeah, right. And maybe we'll take that a little bit higher. Maybe something like right up here is the top of the forehead, and then maybe here is the eyes. And then the nose doesn't start till down here. So we'll grab the clay strips brush, and we're just gonna mark out real quick. So clay strips, switch into the negative mode, and just take away an eye socket. Now, something's going on. The strength is set to the pen tablet. So if you're using a pen tablet, which I highly recommend, and you don't have one, check out the description down below. But if you're not, where is dynamic topology? Come on now. Hit Control Z too many times and you end up... Oh, that was the problem. Okay, so it's not the strength, it's the radius. So Blender 2.82 does this weird thing where for some reason it starts the radius as attached to the strength of your brush. I absolutely hate that setting, but it's a default setting. So if you don't want to deal with that, I suggest you turn that off. And then just work on the brush size itself. So there's the eyes. Dude, that's already a much better start, much more Deku-like. And then we'll switch over to positive brush here and just kind of create our nose. Now we're not gonna do anything super crazy with this. It's literally just blocking out. We'll smooth that down. There we go. We have the beginnings of our nose. In fact, we can even take that out a little bit further. And we're good to go. Now I'm gonna move that up because that doesn't make a ton of like sense. Our nose isn't that long. It's probably gonna be right about there, to be honest. And then we're just gonna pull the chin back a little bit because if we notice, noses should stick out further than chins. So we're just gonna pull this back a little bit and kind of come along the bottom there, pull that back as well. And we can pull this nose out. Now I understand, let's undo that. Drop this down a little bit, maybe even use the grab tool instead of the snake hook brush. Okay, there we go. And so now with this line here, what we can do is we'll just make a little marking for where the mouth is going to go. So let's say this whole piece right here is the mouth patch, and we can kind of smooth that down. And that'll give us our basic shape for the lips when we go ahead and use the crease brush to pull those in. And if you guys have any questions while we're doing this, somebody just told me I talk in slow motion on a YouTube video. That's interesting. Never thought about it that way. Sometimes that's probably true. But if you guys have any questions while we're sculpting, let me know. Let me know. I will be more than happy to answer, you know, or talk about whatever we're doing a little bit more. So already I am much happier with this overall. But we need to put in a jawline here because we've got some other things that kind of looks a little strange right now. But let's go ahead and shape up this jawline. So he does have a pointed jawline, but we're just going to trace something like this real quick and then take it up to right about there. And then we can smooth that all the way around. I never noticed anything weird about how you talk. Yeah, it's on my most watched video, the proportional editing video. Some dude was like, wow, this guy talks in slow motion. And I kind of think that's funny. Because sometimes I feel like the way that I talk is slow. But that might just be because I talk so much that my brain has to process what the heck it's trying to say. And it's not always able to do that. So let's go ahead and we will more angle this face. It's already given us a much better Deku draw line. And push this in, smooth that down a little. Oh my gosh, guys, look at this anime head. Look at this anime head. And compare it to the very beginning of this video. This is so much better. So much better. Okay, so then what we want to do is we want to create, it's actually really good practice. I've got a 10-minute create a head video planned. So what we want to do is we want the kind of the top of the ear to go right about there and the bottom of the ear to hit right about here. So now that we've drawn out that marker, we can just make our little ear section. And notice that I put this ear right at the base of the jawline there. So that way, it's like it's really going to connect. And then I'll just pull this back a little bit to start giving us that ear that's going to stick out of Deku's head. Have you seen the cursed image where they remove hair from anime protagonists? It actually looks like this. I have not seen that image, but if it looks like this, then I'm doing something right. Okay, so we've got this going on right here. A couple of things I don't like. I don't like how kind of out this eyebrow is. I also am not a huge fan of just how sharp of a contrast, so we'll smooth out that contrast there because he's not a hard surface. He's more of a, you know, a human. In fact, I'm even going to just inflate this a little bit. Smooth that down so that way things look a little bit better. And then where are we at? Let's pull this back just a tad. Okay, and so we're just trying to soften up, drop this strength down just a little bit. I just want, that is not what I wanted. This is why having an option for keeping all of your brushes with the same freaking strength is amazing. Blender, why did you remove that option? So the dumbest thing they've done in 2.82. Everything else is pretty great, but this one problem is like super aggravating. I don't know where to find it. I don't know where to fix it, which is dumb, but whatever. So I guess I gotta grab the smooth brush, which just ruins everything, and drop that strength way down so we can undo that smooth and just smooth it out a little bit nicer. So now that kind of looks cursed from up ahead, but once we add in the anime eyes, hopefully everything looks a bit better. Okay, so I'm actually kind of cool with that, and I don't want to spend too much time working on the face because you can like get tunnel vision for details, and getting that tunnel vision for your details can be really, really detrimental because you'll like try to get something really perfect, and then you'll go to work on something else and you realize that you put too much detail too early. At least that's something that I run into quite a bit. So we're gonna just work on this neck thing, and with dynamic topology, we're gonna grab the snake hook and just create Deku's like chest here. Now he has a bit of a longer neck, but it's not that long. So maybe the neck stops right about here, and then we can start building out his shoulders, and yeah, that's probably right. So grab this, we'll pull this out here, something like that. That's what makes 90% of your projects to be like abandoned, because you get that tunnel vision. Dude, I feel you. I feel you. I should actually, one of these days, I'll show you guys like some of my abandoned projects. Came across them today from when I was teaching and just playing around with like particular brushes. Goodness, I absolutely hated them. Hated that one. I actually, you know what? It's kind of dumb, but I found it today and I was like, I hate this, but also I kind of like it, and I should do something more with this model, but it's just never gonna happen. Okay, so we've started off his shoulders pretty good right now, and we'll just kind of come out here, make that a little bit bigger, drop this down, start the formation of a chest. I don't really need to get that deep into it. In fact, I'm probably going a little bit too far out there. So let's do a couple of things. First, let me grab the clay strips brush, and we're gonna get this muscle that comes in from the back of the neck down to the front, because you can see that it's pretty prominent on Deku, just like as a character in general. So we'll take this and we'll make this neck muscle quite a bit better, which I guess makes our collarbone come in right about here. Now, it's important if you're doing a character, just keep in mind collarbones aren't straight, and this is just a loose marking. It will be gone and redone a couple of times by the time we get to actually adding in the collarbone, but that's just for reference right now. But they're not straight, they're actually curved, because like they need to like flex like a bow. So think about that when you start doing your collarbones. In fact, no, we don't want that. We want this clay strip brush. Okay, and then we can take this kind of trap muscle down and add in some muscle here on the back. But now that we've made the chest, we'll do the same thing, just come along here on this back side and kind of create his back a little bit. That is probably way too much muscle, which I guess we have to grab the smooth brush now for. Increase that strength. Now that's not looking great. There we go, that's better. And he does have some pretty decent back muscles, but we're not gonna, I don't know, we're just kind of making the basic shape right now. Yeah, definitely. I'm a huge proponent of sculpting, but everybody that I've talked to and like really worked with, everybody seems to like want to do polymodeling more. Like they get comfortable with it, and so they just try to do everything there. Whereas I like the ability just to start and mess up as many times as I need to with dynamic topology and sculpting. But when I would like teach my students, and I'd be like, guys, like we're getting into sculpting, they would be like, man, I hate this. I want to get back to modeling. And I was like, you don't understand what you're saying. Okay. So we kind of marked that out, which was good. I knew we were going to get rid of those markings, which is fine. Kind of shape that, pull this down. And there we have our shoulders. And we can kind of pull out this back of our shoulder here a little bit. Get us some nice back muscles, and we'll just kind of pull this down. Yeah, dude, sculpting is amazing. Sculpting is amazing. I was actually, you know, I was going through, I was making some tutorial videos this morning, and I found some of my older sculpts, and sculpting is like so much fun. But the problem with sculpting is that if you stop sculpting for any like length of time, you're gonna end up like you lose a lot more of your skill pretty quickly. So I mean, I could show you guys some of my older stuff if you'd like to see it, but like getting back into it now, it's taken me like a decent while. I'm gonna grab this and kind of move this, push that forward. It's taken me a decent bit to get back into it and create the things that I used to be able to create pretty quickly. But now that I'm streaming every week again and waking up early and getting sculpting done, the odds of me losing my skill are very small. Hopefully I won't do that again. Yeah, I mean, I can show you guys. Let me just save this real quick. Let me show you something I'm particularly proud of. So, all right, so we've got Deku's face, and we'll put in some more chest muscles and everything. And that's roughly what we're gonna do. That's about as far as we're gonna get with this sculpt, because we just needed this to really map out. Hold on, his shoulders are too wide. That was the wrong brush. His shoulders are kind of too wide. We're gonna pull out his neck a bit. Yeah, that's better. Okay, so save that. Let me show you guys something. So this is something I am particularly proud of. I did this a while ago. Let me see how long it takes to open up. So I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Pokemon at all. But this particular sculpt is Donphan. It's a Pokemon called Donphan. And I challenged one of my old students to beat him in a competition, because this was an assignment that I made my students do. And so I was like, all right, guys, we're going to sculpt everything here. And you've got to do a little bit of hard surface sculpting, because he's got these armors plating. Obviously, it's not super hard surface, but, you know, you got to set a couple of different types of base meshes and just try to really get your skills done. And so he did a really good time. And I think I cut this to like 8 hours tops, or maybe 5 hours tops is all I was allowed to put into this. But this is one of the ones that I was actually pretty proud of. So yeah, it only took me like 5 hours. This is one that I hate. Came across this today, forgot I did it. Just look at this. This is all with the snake hook brush. That's what I want to point out. This is all with the snake hook brush. I just did everything. I'm not even sure why I made this. But yeah, so this is Cthulhu spawn. I hate it. So that's what we're doing. And then let me see. Let me find one more, and then we'll go back to Deku. Oh, okay. And then this was a teacher, so we're not gonna save that. this is the teacher model that I did. This took me a little bit of time. There's a whole helmet that's like supposed to go with it, but I told him I would make him into a dwarf. And so like we started the process of turning him into a dwarf, and like I got his I actually think this might have been a face scan that we did, but I might have sculpted the whole thing. I can't remember, to be honest. It's probably not a face. Let me check here real quick. Yeah, okay, so I sculpted all this. Yeah. So told him we were gonna turn him into a dwarf. That's what we did. But this was over a year ago that I did this. I came across this today. And I was like, man, I used to be so good. So okay, we'll go back to Deku. Yeah. What even? I don't even know what that is. Okay, we'll go back to Deku. Now we're not gonna save. So, well, thank you, Arabic. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm pretty proud of some of those. The Dawn fan is probably my favorite model. I actually have it 3D printed. Where is it? Huh. I do have it 3D printed, and it is behind me somewhere, but I can't see it, so I was gonna grab it and like show you guys, but I actually 3D printed that model, and I'm really proud of that. So, okay, cool. So I have made Deku's chest come out a lot further than it actually does. So what we're gonna do, we're just gonna flatten this a bit, pull this back. And as we pull that back, I feel like that's gonna give us a really good place now, because we originally made our mark for those collarbones. So we can get in here real nice and create those collarbones. So we're gonna just kind of do something like that, yeah. And then there we go. Okay, and then we can use this and set this to negative, kind of pull this away, smooth all of this out. So like once you develop skill, here's the thing. I think most things in life are pretty skill based, and once you develop a skill, you don't really lose that skill, but you lose your the word I'm looking for is your skill isn't honed anymore. So like you just have to do a little bit of work to get back up to where you were at, and you're good. And I think that's pretty true for a lot of things in life. Like working out, I haven't probably worked out in a while, but whenever I jump back into working out, my body is able to remember its old strength pretty quickly. And I wasn't even that strong. So I feel like the same way is like the same thing is true about art skills, is that if you get to a certain point and you do enough practice, you level up a little bit, you get to a place where you can pretty easily come back and put in work and you'll be okay. And that's just where I needed to get to. So like this whole last week, I've been waking up early and sculpting some and creating content in the mornings before I go to my software engineering job. Just trying to get my skill back so I can, I don't want to say show off during live streams, but so I don't look like a buffoon when I'm doing live streams. Let's kind of flatten this out. Nah, man, literally everything is a skill. Like, literally everything is a skill. Art is just a science that you haven't put a lot of time into yet. Okay, his chest is too wide. Like, here's the thing. Here's the thing, Arabic. When you were born, right, you roll the dice. And when you roll the dice, basically, you get a base level of, like, talent and skills and charisma and all that jazz, right? But that's just where you start. That's not at all where you finish. And so everything after that first initial dice roll is it takes effort and time and skill, and all you have to do is level up. That's it. So yeah, I mean there are people who are more talented in sculpting or art or whatever naturally, but you can beat those guys if you just work hard and learn the technique better than them. Well, I'm glad I could motivate you. So, but yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the truth, man. Like, there is no shame in where you start, but there's also nothing preventing you from getting better over time. Okay, we're gonna just put in a little spot here for his Adam's apple. Smooth that out. Yo, that looks legit. Smooth this out. Oh my goodness, this is so much better. This is so much better than before. I should have kept that original head so we could compare it. Okay, let me see if I can pull up an image of Deku shirtless. That's gonna be a weird search. Okay, thankfully there's some like actual anime of Deku shirtless, and I don't have to get into Rule 34 stuff. And dude's traps are like crazy. Like his traps are pretty insane. So we're gonna try to match that insanity. If here's the shoulder, let's just beef up this section real quick. All right, like there's the shoulder. There we go. Okay, so his traps are basically like that. Like that's essentially his trap muscle right there. That's insane to me. I mean, you're right. Yes, he did absolutely work out by pulling heavy steel objects on the beach. There's his neck. In fact, we could probably even go bigger. And we could just like pull this muscle out a little bit more. And then push this thing forward. Push that. And then push this in. There we go. All right, that is Deku's face. Tell you what. There we go. Face and shoulders and chest. So if we pull this uniform out, look how much work we're gonna have to do to this uniform. Man, this just makes me want to pull his whole arm and create the uniform later. Dang it. Because I don't want to pull the whole arm. But I like that so much more. Alright, fine. We'll go to the bicep. And that's as far as we're gonna go on this sculpt. I'm not doing the whole body, not doing the whole torso. It ain't happening. I refuse. Go ahead and turn off dynamic topology for this, because what we want to do is just inflate this area so it can generate for us this filling that we need. Smooth that down. I could just not make a uniform. I guess you're right. Like I technically could just decide to not make a uniform and just like sculpt shirtless Deku during this fight, and I feel like that would be okay. People would be okay with that, and then just retop it. That would probably be fine for most. And I guess I'd be okay with that, but that's not quite what I want to do. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so now that we've done a bulk of the work, we can turn dynamic topology back on and just go over these areas. And now we've essentially got the work of creating a body, and dang it, we're gonna Arabic, you're gonna make me do this whole body. That's exactly what you're gonna make me do. I didn't want to. Okay. So we've got this. What I want to do is I want to kind of pull this section down without really affecting what we've already sculpted, which is gonna be kind of tricky to pull off. And it's fine, whatever. I mean, we're gonna have to go back in and adjust it a little bit. So we can come down here and pull this down and out, and there we go. Look at that chest. Alright, and I really don't think his chest muscles should be out that much, so we can kind of come down here and take that down. That's fine. Go back to Deku shirtless, and we can see he's got a pretty good... It's not a Y shape so much as it is just like... It's like a straight down. Like, let me... It's like that. I guess that's kind of a Y, but it's a very slight Y. Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we're just drawing this, just kind of tracing this, right? So there's his hip. Oh, I don't want to take it that far out. Let's hide this uniform. This uniform's gonna get deleted anyways. So there's his hips, and from there, he kind of comes like there, and then maybe here, and then up to his shoulders goes something like that, I guess. I don't know. Something like that. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out as we go along. Okay, so, and then we can just kind of take I guess now we can just kind of grab and pull all of this. There we go. I think I went a little too far down. So I think that's about as far down as I am comfortable going. And then we'll take this back muscle. Let's pull this back a little bit. And then I can take the back muscle out to right about there, which is probably as far out as I feel comfortable going. Maybe not even that far because of where the shoulders are at. So I know that that muscle is going to be very like into that shoulder and behind it, but I feel like that's probably about as comfortable as I am going, and that's about as far down as we're going. And then we can make his pants go from there, and we'll make that a part of the uniform, and I'm not getting into that type of art. I should probably get a real smudge guard too. Okay, so now that we've got that done and we've pulled out that, what we need to do is pull out the arm itself. So we can kind of punch in an armpit here. That's fine. Smooth that out. And with that armpit punched in, we need to like pull out the actual arm vertices. So that's why I love the snake hook brush. It is so versatile for stuff like this. Yeah, whatever. We'll have to come back to it. That's fine. Oh, I mean, you gotta definitely get into using some other brushes, Arabic, but yeah. Yeah, Deku is super buff, like, as a teen. So, it's kind of crazy, actually. But yeah, I mean, you gotta get used to using a couple of different types of brushes, but the snake hook brush is just... it is an amazing brush. I'm gonna smooth that down. That's fine. And we will take this, and we're gonna position this right at the elbow. Something like that. Oh no, that's not what I wanted to do at all. Look at that. That is not bad. That is not bad. I hate that I love that so much, but I'm proud of that. Okay. So we'll just grab the clay strips brush again, and I'm just gonna map out a little bit of kind of more of his muscles here. So his pecs end right about here, and they do kind of curve up like that. So we'll kind of make that marking there, smooth that out a little bit, and then he's got his ribs end something like there. There's his ribs. And we'll just do like a small crease in that area. Like, kind of smooth that out. Maybe we need to move that a little higher. Move this down just a bit. Kind of smooth that whole area. Oh, I am jealous. Well, yeah, no, I'm jealous. I'm jealous of Deku and his abs. I've never had them. And realistically, I probably never will. But I want them. Maybe one day if this production studio takes off like I kind of want it to, and we're doing good things, maybe I'll do a film series on me doing like the One Punch Man challenge for a week, you know, or for a month, and just seeing like body progress. I'll make my content manager force me to work out. Can always go for the strongman style. Abs don't matter. That is the kind of positivity I like in my life, Arabic. That is that kind of positivity right there. Oh, his shoulder muscles, those are getting bad. Let's fix that. So he has a pretty like structured overlap shoulder muscle, kind of juts out a little bit. So we'll add in these clay strips here to get that effect. And then they also just kind of come down over like this direction a little bit. So now if we smooth all of that out, we have our shoulder muscle kind of that's better. And that shoulder muscle like goes kind of all the way around. So take that, do this. In fact, let's even just grab the inflate brush and just inflate this section here. And smooth it all down. But yeah, maybe that'll be a video series in the future. We'll do a Pinkbeard getting fit series where I just like die on camera. That could be fun, or at least interesting and healthy. Okay, scrolled too far. Got into the Rule 34. It's not what I wanted. Man, one of the craziest things is like when I was teaching high school, we would get into body sculpting, and so we'd have to start doing it, and I would be like, look up a reference image, and like my students would get really kind of weirded out when I was just like, yeah, go look up how to sculpt, go look up how to sculpt a chest, or look up how to sculpt a back or whatever, and they would be like, that's just a weird thing to Google search. I'm like, listen, it's fine, you'll be fine. And then like one time the principal came in while we were Well, they were looking some of that stuff up and we were doing it. I was like, yeah, check out what like cool stuff we're doing. And I think she got a little bit weirded out by it, but it's okay in the long run. Okay, and then there's this like muscle that comes along here, and that's too big there. But there's this muscle that comes up from the side and goes down to like right here, and that meets the trap, which is significantly larger here. No, that's fair. That's totally fair. But it's always weird, like, looking that up. Because I don't ever really consider myself an artist. You know? But I know artists, like, real 3D artists, when they're going and getting their art degree, which I guess technically I'm doing 3D art, so I am then a 3D artist. But when, like, people are getting their art degree, they have to, like, paint nude models and, you know, do that whole thing, and that kind of gets them used to looking those things up, and like never done that, never had any type of experience doing that or anything like that. So it's a little weird, in my opinion. I'm just not used to it. Yeah, that's not too bad. I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I've never really thought about myself that way. It was weird because, like, I did an interview today, and, like, I said, like, oh, yeah, I'm a 3D artist on the side, because we were talking about UI design and work or whatever, and so I was like, yeah, I'm a 3D artist. I do, you know, I have a passion for making things look really nice when it comes to UI design. And that was like the first time I've ever really referred to myself as a 3D artist. Let's grab the scrape brush and let's scrape away from here and smooth all that out. And those abs are way too low. So we're gonna just grab all of them and move them up. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I try. I don't, like I said, getting back into it. I like making cool stuff. That is not what a real ab muscle looks like, and I am... going off an anime image here, and it, like, starts his ab muscles, like, decently lower than the chest, but, like, on humans, that's weird, because, like, humans' ab muscles, from what I can see on these reference images of bodybuilders and everything, they like start right away. So it's almost like the ab muscle should be like right there, and then have another one like right here, And then something like that. And then kind of smooth all of that. Boom. Those are abs I'd kill for. Okay. Not satisfied with that. I'm not sure why I'm not satisfied with that yet. Maybe we can... Maybe they just need to be a little bit wider, and I'd be okay with that. So... yeah. And then what there's a long muscle going like at the bottom of the abs going into the groin. So, and that kind of gives that V shape of male anatomy here. So let's do this. Let's create kind of our hip area. And then we just want this to kind of come down. Something like that. Yeah, I'm satisfied with that. I don't know about you guys, but I'm good with that. I'm definitely good with that. And we just need to do a little bit more on these back muscles, and then I think we're good. I think like one of the things that kind of needs to be a little bit more fleshed out is that is there a bone like that? I don't know. I don't know if there's a bone there or not. Never took like an anatomy class. But I feel like these muscles should kind of more do something like that to set them apart from the rest of the... Like that's a thing, and then we can add in a light crease here. Smooth all of that out. Yeah. And then come in here along the spine and add in some extra volume for muscles. Maybe add in some extra room here. Something like that. Except I feel like that is too... There we go. I feel like that's better overall for back muscles, but also maybe that's too... There's a fill brush. There's the fill brush. Okay. So let's just fill in this little section real quick and then smooth that out. And I think that's better overall. Yeah. Okay, so we have our model here. We've done a lot of cool work on that. I want to save that for sure. And let's go back to this head because we need to keep working on this head. So let's go to the ears here. So we want to keep our reference image up, and if we notice, right, like if we're gonna draw, we have basically to the center of the eye is where the top of the ear is. So if we're going to follow that logic, then the top of the ear has to really stop right about where it's already at. So let's just pull that down and then try to get a shape for our ear. Do something like that. Now, I did all of that with the grab brush, which, you know, didn't generate any new topology for me. But now we'll go in there with the snake hook brush and kind of fix this. So... Okay, now we don't want the ear to pop too far away from the head, that otherwise it'll look kind of ridiculous. But we want it to be far enough away that, like, if we're looking at the model, we can see, like, oh, he's got ears, you know? Yeah, anime proportions in general are weird, and I'm not a huge fan when it comes to sculpting them, but I am excited to throw this thing up on, like, a 3D model site and, like, get a 3D print out of this. I'm pretty excited about that. Here, let's do this. Let's grab the clay strips brush, go real small here, and strip us out an area along the ear that should kind of follow where we're at. So we've got this part, and then it goes up and over. We can then smooth out. I'll take that down. And then come along the back with the crease brush and put in some creases to really give the illusion, or I guess sell the illusion, that this ear comes off the head. And we'll grab the scrape brush to continue. Okay, and then we want to add in our little, like, sound stopper here. And then carve away our hole. I just want to make some final adjustments here on the shape of this face. don't really want there to be any hard spots on the model. And I want to fix this ear, but I think that in shaping this, I'm actually okay with how that turned out. Doesn't have to be super detailed or important or anything like that. But this does need to come back a bit, something like that. All right, that is good enough for me. I'm cool with that. Now, let's go ahead and give him some eyes that'll fit. Deku's eyes are pretty round, and actually that comes back. That eye socket comes back a bit. So let's do this. Let's pull this eye socket back to right about there, and then we can reframe very lightly, low strength, kind of reframe out this eye socket. Makes it look less weird, but let's pull it back even further. Yeah. And maybe that'll just be better when we add those eyes in there. But for now, I just want to pull these back. I know it doesn't really matter because, you know, we've got the eye socket in there anyways. But I just want to pull them back. Oh, dude, eyes are easy. Eyes are easy. I'll show you. Okay. So, we've got our eye sockets kind of mapped out. We're good. Let me save that. Go back to the layout mode. And we want to add in... Actually, let's do this. Let's set the origin to the 3D cursor now. Wow, that is so much better than it was originally. Oh, thanks, babe. That's my wife, guys. Pandy Cat. So, thanks for popping in. Saying hey. Okay, let's skip this song. It's kind of like... it's almost done. Whatever. Should have skipped it earlier. Can you guys hear the music? Just making sure. I like the first time I did a stream. Okay, cool. Cool. Because the first time I did a stream, like, we had the music, and then I went back and listened to it, like, oh, I was vibing to the music, but literally no one else could hear it. So... Alright, what was I doing? Oh, eyes, yes. Okay, so we're back in layout mode, and... Shoot, I don't want to see these wireframes. Let's turn this off. And just gonna add in a UV sphere. Real simple, real nice. And then we're gonna just put this right up there at the side of the head. Scale this sucker way down. And move it out to the front of the face. This is the easy part, right? So we do that, we put it better, we right click, shade smooth. So now we have a smooth eye. But anime eyes are a little bit flat. So we will kind of flatten it up on the y-axis there, and we'll scale it down just a little bit overall. We can put this better in the head. Something like that, maybe. And then the fun part. All we have to do is add a mirror modifier and mirror across our objects. And there we go. And now we have eyes. Very basic, very easy eyes. Now there are ways you can get more complicated with that. In fact, let me stretch that back out a little bit, and then I'm gonna sink these a little further in the head. But there we go. And so now we can focus on finishing up that eyelid and really mapping out this thing a little bit better. Thanks, Pandy. Yeah, I'm really proud of the shoulders and the neck. Let's turn on dynamic topology again. Yes, please. That's fine. Smooth this out. And then come in here with this eyebrow. Kind of come down to a point, because Deku's eyes, it's a very soft point. So we can actually even just kind of do something like that, smooth that out. But we need to just pull this out a little bit. So I'm just going to use the grab brush real quick and just kind of pull this out over and pull this out under. And pull that back a bit. Reshaping that nose. And we're actually going to grab the thumb brush, which doesn't have many uses, but one of the best uses for it is just kind of pushing up and flattening areas. So that's going to give me that sharp-ish nose that we want for Deku. There we go. Actually... Okay, I just need to reinforce this eye a little bit more, so we're just gonna, oh, that's not what I want. I don't want the thumb brush. We want to grab the grab brush here, and just kind of pull this down, and pull it forward. Just a bit, so that while it's open, I'm gonna do this to where it's like kind of coming out and around. And smooth that down. This way it like comes out and we get the feeling of a real eye socket. There we go. So Arabic, what do you think? What do you think about those eyes? Simple enough? And we could actually probably even sink these into the head just a bit more, like literally just a touch more, and then we're done. Nah, man. Nah, don't try that. Don't try that. I will be probably... I don't know how we gotta do it. I got a request. I got a request to do a low poly goblin for a D&D that like you could 3D print or whatever, like a walkthrough for that. So I'm gonna try to figure out how to do that as a low poly form. And I think for that one I might try to just like blob out the eyes and whatever, but there's no point, because if you were gonna actually like retop this model and put it back through a rig and everything, the eyes would be their own unique mesh islands anyways, so just throwing in some spheres there to account for those eyes is sufficient. Okay, let's come down here to these abs. I don't like the ridge here. Let's smooth this down. Smooth that out too. There we go. That's better.
Roads and up in the clouds, but I've always felt that something's missing. That was until I found you right there.
All right, so for one of the final touches on the face, we can go ahead and cut in the mouth. Now, what we're gonna try to do is just give enough of a space that we essentially have an upper and lower lip. But I want to check to make sure that we're good as far as our mound for the mouth here, because we do have the angle going this way for the nose to the chin. That's good. In fact, let me just pull that out just a bit longer. And then yeah, that actually looks probably pretty good. So now we can grab the crease brush and crease in. Why does dynamic topology keep turning off? Because I keep leaving sculpt mode. Now, one of the cool parts about getting that mound done is you have less work to do when you actually do start to cut in that crease. But I made the crease too small, so let's go ahead and make that crease bigger overall. In fact, we can smooth that out. All right, and so there we go. We have a lower lip, and what we can do is real low strength. Drop our brush down a little bit, and then add some crease in here. Smooth that out. And now we've got a little bit, actually I want to do that a little bit better. So let's grab the inflate brush here and just deflate this section real quick. And smooth that. And there we go. We have the chin, and you can see there's that little entrance in there. We can even go so far as to like pull that in just a bit. But just make sure if you do that, you want to come up the side of the face and also pull that in. And then we kind of got to do the same thing up here at the nose. So we want to push this back a little bit. And then come in and smooth it. Ooh, what happened here? His nose went crazy on us. Unintended side effect of whatever we just did. So we can shrink up that nose a bit. Kind of bring those closer together. And then grab this clay strip. Drop it down. And get our little section there. And then we'll grab the scrape brush and just scrape away at this area. Do the same thing up here. And kind of... No, we will not be sculpting an eyelid over the eyes. Basically, when we rig it, the eyelids, it'll just, like, that is the eyelid. Because it's an anime character. So they don't have their own eyelids. They're literally just eyes. And then when, like if you noticed when we watched Frozen 2 recently, Pandy, if you watched Anna and Elsa blink, it was just literally the skin at their cheekbone and the top of the eye just came together. There wasn't actually an individual eyelid there. And that's because the eyes are so big that if you were to add an eyelid, it would look weird. Or like you would see the eyelid, and because it would cover part of the eye, you'd be like, their eye is not as wide-eyed as you want them to be. So, yeah. Just in case, you know, you really do plan on picking up 3D art like you said you would. Or you said you wanted to. Okay. All right, I think I'm good with that right now. Let's go ahead and save that. So now we've got lips, we've got a strong jawline, we've got an ear, which could probably use a little bit more work. But I think the last things I'm really gonna do here are just like kind of inflate the inside and then smooth it out. And I think that's really all I'm gonna do for the inside of this ear. Kind of leave a barely crease there for the thing. Maybe push that down a bit and just smooth along this outside edge. But that's it. Yeah, so it would be like sculpting clay normally. Like if we had like a Nathan Drake character or the character for the description you were writing up last night, something like that where we could have an eyelid, it would be fine because they would have normal eyes. Whereas like Deku doesn't have normal eyes. Deku has giant freaking anime eyes. Whereas Bakugo has more normal eyes and eyelids. His eyes aren't so bright-eyed all the time. So we could actually potentially have an upper eyelid on Deku, but we wouldn't have a lower eyelid. The skin at the bottom would just come up. So yeah, there we go. All right, I want to work on the hair, but we're not there yet. We are not even close to there yet. So We'll work on the arm. What's up, Jordan? How you doing, man? Welcome to the stream. Yeah, we are definitely taking some license with this Deku Infinite 100. Yo, for real? Dude, thanks for following me over here now. Appreciate that. I feel like this back muscle could come out just a bit more, so we're gonna just do that real quick. We're just gonna kind of pull this out a bit. Oh, did it? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It sounded the same level for me. My apologies, Arabic. So now if we look at this, there we go. We can kind of see his muscle there, and I could probably even put in a crease. Oh, okay. Not the loudness. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I just like went through a bunch of different songs. Where are we at right now? Which one is playing? Over there. Okay, let me get my Deku image again. He doesn't have a ton going on with his forearms. Shoot. Like, here's the thing. He doesn't have a ton going on with his forearms, and by this point, because we're sculpting the Infinite 100, both his gloves and arm braces are broken. So, like, it doesn't even make sense for me to have the upper half of the uniform, because I like this shirtless Deku thing that we've got going on. We can clean this up. We can clean up this transition a little bit. Smooth that out just a bit. Yeah, that's better. That just needed some smoothing. There we go. That's better. That's better for sure. Okay. No, we're gonna call that good. That's as much of the torso as we're gonna do, and then I'm gonna keep his braces there. That's fine. We'll keep his braces. We'll take some artistic license with this model. He lost his shirt, but he still has his braces for his arms. I'm gonna be okay with that. Oh, we don't want to go into there. Let's go back to layout. We can look at that. And we'll go into edit mode here. Select everything. And we're going to rotate this along the z-axis. And then move it along the y. And And that's going to help us with positioning. So now we have a better placement for the hand. I should have fixed that thumb a little bit. I'll fix it, don't worry. Let's switch to the active element here, so that way I can do switch into normal mode. And then like sync that up into the arm a little bit. Yeah, that's probably okay. Go back to the global transform orientation, and then he has his gloves. Oh man, I like his gloves, and none of the drawings, none of the art really has it, which makes sense. Because in that scene, his stuff is gone. So, all right, let's find a different Deku scene. Okay. Alright, well, we see his arm broken and bloody. Let me see if we can... Thought he had longer gloves. There we go. Okay, yeah. So ultimately, his gloves go up and cover part of his biceps, which is an interesting choice, but that is the same thing that kind of happens with his legs there in his costume. So I guess it makes sense. But because of that, there's not a whole lot we can do. Except I guess what I'll do is I'll grab this face here in the middle. And let's actually hide... Where's that sphere? Oh, let's name these things. These are the eyes. And they belong under Deku. And then this is Deku's body. And it also belongs under Deku. And then we can save everything. So let's hide the body. And I'm just going to delete those vertices there, giving us the full ring. We can bring the body back. And we got to switch to the normal orientation, basically. And then we can do something like this. Something like that. Scale that out a bit. And that's pretty much. So we just did that wonderful bicep, and it doesn't even matter because we're gonna have to leave it in place. And it's gonna have to cover over the thing. So let's do this. We'll shrink this down to just over the bicep. Do the same thing here to just over the bicep. which that's fine, whatever. We can scale that on the... Oh, because the pivot point is the center, because I didn't change it back to the median point. So that scale on the Z. Nope, that's what I needed right there. Pretty much, something like that. There we go. Okay. So now we've got his gloves. His gloves are going to go up. They'll brace over. We can shade this smoothly. Turn on auto smooth so it doesn't freak out on us. And let's check some things out. So what we need to do is, I guess we'll sculpt this a little bit. Yeah, we'll have to. So let's go ahead and save. And then let me close off this by filling it in. And then insetting. Switching back to global. And then we'll go into sculpting mode on this itself. And what we'll do is we'll just sculpt the bracer and put some of those designs in there and make it look acceptable. So just like how we would have started out last time if we hadn't just created everything from a sphere, we will start with a low strength brush of the inflate and dynamic topology. And we can turn off the mirror modifier right now. And we'll just increase the vertex count. Actually, I'm going to thicken up this wrist a bit. Alright, so we're just smoothing this out and then kind of bringing these closer to the arm itself. Maybe pulling this away from the arm a little bit just to try to get maybe some even distance away. Do that. There I go, talking in slow motion again. Okay, cool. Now his armband actually has something that goes up the side of his model. So what we're gonna do, we'll just grab the snake hook brush here for a second, kind of pull this up. And it's very much a traditional like trapezoid shape a little bit. So we can kind of just make this trapezoid shape appear. There we go. And then it comes down into something like that. So let's take this in a little bit more. And we'll just try to flatten off this top here. So grab this, pull it. Something like that. Yeah, that looks good. And we can smooth that out. But actually, let me grab the flatten brush. And we can flatten out that top. Now, that side. And now that side. And then we can add a crease that goes along the side here. Which the multi-plane scrape brush could do, but it's not, we're not quite ready for that yet. So we'll just crease it for now. And then it looks like it kind of sneaks into his armband. And then we can grab the scrape brush and pull pieces away from that. There we go. And it actually is a lot more blocky. So we have an upper piece here that should kind of come out, and it's kind of got to give us this like diamond shape. So we should have something down there like that, and then it flattens out, and then there's something like that a little bit. So we'll pull that up to the shape that we want, and maybe move it over. Pinch together an edge for us that traces that line that we want right there. We can kind of do the same thing on the other side. Let's grab and pull this section up. There we go. It's not perfect. I'm okay with that though. For now. Okay. And actually what we're gonna do, we're gonna just come down here to the thumb, and I really just want to move this whole thumb. And kind of reposition everything about it, which is a lot easier to do once you've started sculpting it than it is trying to use that skin modifier. So we'll just come down here and inflate this hand like it's supposed to be inflated. Come down and inflate the fingers a little bit to give ourselves a little bit more depth and thickness, and then smooth it all out. And I think I made these fingers too close together because the modifier was being wonky. So I've just fixed that. And he does have like a full-on bracelet around his wrist. So we'll put the bottom part of the bracelet on there, but we will model something different for the top part of the bracelet. Where are we at? There we go. Which actually, I guess we could just make a wrist guard there, but...
There was sun and there was rain, beauty in the mundane. And as the light startled our eyes, we let go of disguise. And now there's something in the air and a sparkly shimmer on our skin, restoring everything within. Dreamy, breezy, we go. Easy, easy on our tiptoes. Undercover, agents of the other. Beyond gravel, beyond hand in hand.
All right, what do you guys think?
Castles out of sand, reaching for the grand. As willows
I think that's a little long.
lose track of time, head up high, now we climb.
Like I think his hands are a little long. So we bring back the uniform. Like, let me do this real quick. If we like put this, oh, actually,
A bigger scale, the world inhales as we go.
I think that looks kind of okay, to be honest.
I wouldn't want it any other way.
Okay, but we have way too many vertices in this area. How many vertices are we dealing with? 51,000 in this area. So we're gonna fix that. I'm gonna go grab the simplify brush. And let's hide the uniform again. Turn on dynamic topology. Turn off the mirror modifier. Okay, so now we go into edit mode. We've only taken out like 3,000, really? There we go, that's better. We've lost like 10,000. We don't need nearly as many vertices on this backside. All Alright, still not very happy with the way that this thumb is connecting, but I think that's just because there's that weird crease here. So if we increase this area, or inflate this area rather, we do that. That should make that look better. And fingers don't have that kind of like cut in there, so we're going to bring this down. Now, you don't have to put a ton of attention on these fingers and hands, right? Like, it's going to be in a glove. They're going to be small parts of the model. People aren't really going to notice, but you do want to make sure that, like, they're evenly spaced and that everything about them is good. So maybe if we need to add some knuckle joints, we can do that. So let me increase some knuckle areas here and kind of smooth that out. Yeah, and that's about it. Let me hide some mesh here real quick. Let me just hide that. And that. Just so I can kind of adjust. I just want to adjust the, actually, let's try the rotate brush here. Because I'm kind of convinced that there is no good point of the rotate brush. But if this will do what I want it to do. Nope. Nope, I'm convinced there is no good purpose to the rotate brush. There you go. I think that's maybe, that looks better. I could repose the other hands and fingers, but I think I'm okay. They don't need to all be perfect. Because that's what retopping and rigging is for. Okay, there is a problem. This muscle right here should be bigger. So let's go and fix that and make that a bigger... a part. Dynamic topology. There we go. Definitely better. feel like this should maybe be a bit more connected. Okay. And let's go ahead and add in a little crease here. To really outline that pectoral muscle that we have. And then we'll grab the scrape brush again and scrape away. Okay. Maybe that's a little too much. Let's smooth that down a little bit more. And lessen that crease. Because though the muscle definition is there, it should be kind of a smooth muscle definition. And I feel like maybe should put some more connection up here. Which then he's gonna have some strong obliques, right? So we gotta beef up his obliques. So, what do you guys think? Do you think something else really could be worked on a little bit better, or like, do you have any suggestions, or are you good? Because at this point, we are nearing the end of my 2-hour time limit, and I think I'm kind of completely okay with this. Maybe the fingers need to be, those fingers need some work, because his fingers aren't that spread apart. So we're gonna go back to these, jump back into sculpting, dynamic topology, turn that on. It's fine. Oh. Yeah, give me 1 second. Let me fix the damage that I've done to these fingers by moving them. Let's turn off dynamic topology, go a little bit bigger. Okay, yeah, just need to fatten up these fingers a little bit more. And I think I'm good with that. Yeah. I think I'm good with that. Okay, so as you asked for, here is the kind of profile of his face. And I didn't really want to do that whole, like, completely flat face up until the nose that juts out of his head. Okay. Well, if you say it looks good, I'm okay with it. All the reference images I have are okay with it. He kind of needs a forehead, but other than that... Well, his forehead is mostly going to be covered in hair anyways, so it's not that big a deal. I think, because most of the image that I see, the hair comes like right down in front of his eyes, so his forehead is covered anyways. Alright, let's save this. Bring back the mirror modifier. Yeah, this is more like the nose bridge. And then his forehead is basically his, like, it stops there pretty much, which is what I tried to emulate here. But you're right, we could do a little bit more of giving him a bigger forehead. Let's make that last adjustment here. Yeah, you're right. It is starting to look a little less weird. Nah, hey. Ain't no problem. I don't mind getting real-time feedback on these streams, so they're here to help other people learn, but also for, you know, me to get better and turn on dynamic topology. There we go. You're right. That's better. Definitely right. Glad we did that. Thank you for that suggestion. It'll make the final model look better, even better. Okay. All right, I think that's good for tonight because we've only got how many songs left? 0 songs left. So that's the end. That's the end of my 2-hour stream playlist. Now that we've hit the end of the song playlist, we're gonna go ahead and call this a night and cut it out. Remember to go vote. You know, well, I guess Super Tuesday was today, so if you missed voting, then you know you missed it. But anyways, all right, so I will definitely be back next Tuesday. So thanks for hanging out, and then I may be back at another point throughout the week, but no guarantee on that. So thanks for hanging out, everybody, and I will see you next Tuesday.